allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. First item on the agenda is approval of the March 4th, 2026 business session minutes.
And I asked my same question again.
Sure.
We don't need 2 meetings to approve an ordinance, right? It needs to be read twice. Once, and what we did on this meeting was voted to suspend the rules.
Right.
Correct.
Have the second reading.
But that's not the way. City Attorney Felzine read the title of the ordinance aloud. Alderman Jones made a motion to approve. That's not the motion he made. He made a motion to suspend the rules. And then we voted to suspend the rules. And then we made a motion to approve. Correct? But that's not the way this reads. This just says Alderman Jones made a motion to approve. Correct? It should say made a motion to suspend the rules.
Yeah, it's that part.
Yeah. And that's what I'm voting no on, is to suspend the rules.
Yeah, you're right. When I read it, I knew that's what you were voting no on.
I didn't vote no on it once and yes on it once. That's my, again, I think that should be corrected, but
Yeah, sure. I'd agree.
You could do this, no problem.
other than that, motion approved.
And is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright, passed as amended. Next up, approval of the bills list.
Move to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next up, public comments.
One at a time.
Not all. Nobody
moving top to bottom, in your general fund, we're early in the year, we get all of our real estate collections in January. Those monies accumulate really in January, February, and then they get expended throughout the rest of the year. So that is your year-to-date change, showing 117K. Not that we can spend recklessly, because that's certainly not the case, but that right now, so far through the year, we have a surplus of funds sitting in our general fund. The combat fund, the net change, we did get all of the grant monies in, and we are still having a little bit of a surplus, but as you can see, we're down to $3,500 in that combat fund. And then we'll start shifting back over into expending more funds out of that combat fund that we've received in grants, and it's just a timing that happens every year through that. Outside of that, fairs and festivals, it shows that we've spent more than what we brought in, but that's a timing issue, right? We order supplies and we have memberships and those kind of things that occur. And then the fairs and festival season occurs over the spring and summer, and those dollars come back in. So I'm not concerned about that, even though it's showing we're spending more than we brought in at this point. And parks, it's too early. Parks capitals, it's too early. So the monies that are coming in for those two funds aren't going to be expended until this summer. So that's really the other timing issue. And we've already addressed the water utility fund, where we have a couple of things, those big projects that service payment, which is really the cash going out. The other that I wanted to highlight, I know we talked about it a little bit a few months ago from a court perspective. You'll see court here, we have a year-to-date change, which is a negative. We've talked about this before. From a court perspective, we do have a lot of costs sitting in that program that do not get covered by the fines and fees that are paid through the court program. So this is something that we will see, every year until the board decides to take action and do something different in that fund. It's been a couple months, so I want to give you guys a chance to ask me questions if you have any, and if not, super.
Negative. I do not.
None? Okay.
Thanks for taking.
Okay, awesome. Great to see you guys.
Thank you.
Next up, public health and safety.
Well, we had a slower month as far as reports and car stops and citations, but our call volume was still very high. We had Officer Martin, some of you met him. I know Alderman Jones has met him. I'm sorry, it was a car stop. But
You're on here.
he had turned in his 2-week resignation a couple of weeks ago. His last day was yesterday.
What'd you say to him, Jimmy?
So we're currently,
What?
What'd you say to him? Make him quit.
he said if he stopped him again, he was gonna have his job this week.
Not guilty.
So we're 2 officers down right now. Again.
Because they're so easy to come by.
We've been getting some applications in, but nothing that I wanted to stoop to yet, so
Yeah.
that's all I have.
Except I don't see anybody from park board here. Planning and zoning, don't see any public works.
The only thing I'd like to point out, there's a change on the second line. It says number of non-meeting meters. You may have caught that to my attention. I actually did put the wrong date, and it put the 2/15 to the 3/15 date. So when I did that, we actually already had 116 non-meeting meters. And the difference between the estimated bills and 110 is usually what happens if somebody comes in and complains to Casey that the bill's too high, she sends one of the guys out to do the second meeting and double check. And there must have been some kind of adjustment made to that period of time. Other than that, I mean, it's just, winter time, so it's slow, no patching done. And, we had 33 water turns off and 45 locates.
Do you know with the coming week, the mild weather, do they have some meter replacement or?
Yes, that was number one on Dalton's priority. Like I said, the next couple of weeks, it's gonna be 70 days, and then we'll be getting on the meters. He knows that's a priority.
How many meters do we actually need to be replaced, repaired?
Technically, it's at 147.
I thought we did that, wasn't it, correct?
Well, that's, for the month of February, that was, the correct was 116, but since then, that's the original report I ran was 147.
Okay.
That was as of March 15th to March 17th. And it's 147, because we had 30 some odd meters. And that could be simple as the EIU's not working right, or something minor like that, or the batteries are bad on it. We get a lot of that because, as you know, Foresight, you know, we replaced every meter in town all at the same, within a month of each other, 2 months, whatever it was, when we originally did it. So the batteries are good for 10 years. We start seeing all these batteries start getting bad on us, and so.
All at the same time.
At the same time, you know, so.
Does this send any kind of message so that we know the nature of the problem?
Yeah, and that's a, you know, if I print the same report, I can get it, it gives you the code, whether it's battery or,
So they can have a-
EUR and stuff is bad on it. And a lot of times we go out there, it's as simple as the antenna, it sits on top of the meter and clips in, and sometimes when people, citizens, open up the meter to look, that meter, the antenna will fall and go to the bottom of the pit, and sometimes that's a half-time reading, other times, you know, just some simple things.
I didn't know, like, you know, and I'm just making it up.
Yeah.
You can change a battery in 5 minutes.
It ain't bad.
Go through and
Yeah, it's not
say,
bad.
today
It's-
We're just gonna go change all the batteries that need to be changed so that we can get those back on.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I am not pushing that myself, so I can't say I'm an expert, how long it take me, but yeah, it's basically, they got 2 D-sized batteries, and they go there, clip the wire, and gel cap the new ones in, at the bottom end, and then they have to reprogram with that machine, and it's good to go. Like I said, I haven't done it myself, so I don't know how long it'll take. These guys probably got that patent and that. But the problem is, like, some people want to get a box of battery at a time, and once we get those, then we got to turn those into the company, then they send us out a new box, you know.
So they won't send us enough to do everything we need at one time.
We did initially. Remember last year we brought in, and
Yeah.
they initially said all that, so we should have enough batteries. Now, the gel caps are hard, but sometimes you go to Home Depot, get some of the gel caps for it. But like I said, Dalton, the builder, you know, I told him that, you know, that should be number part to get these meters going again.
Water valves exercise, that just making sure they're working.
That's due to the 2 water prices that we had over the last 2 weekends.
Yeah, what was up
the
with that?
valves. Huh?
What were those?
Remember I told you the water pit, we had this 2 pressure reducing valve. The one we replaced 2-3 years ago, whatever, we had all those breaks. That was on the outgoing line that was going down towards 24 highway. Well, the last 2 times, it's been on the inlet side, it's coming in from Kansas City, Independence. That valve, pressure reduced valve went bad.
Okay.
The first time they came out, ESI, which is the expert who builds those valves, the technician went down into the pit, he thought it was clogged vents. He undid all the vents, blew them out, and it seemed to be working. Well,
No.
next weekend we had the same issue. So then he came last Monday, and replaced the guts inside that valve. So hopefully, both valves have been replaced now.
Says here you flushed out 2 miles worth of mains.
Well, I had to go up to the top of the hill to do, they really flushed that main out, and opened that hydrant up there. And then they went up to Sibley and flushed one up there by Bill's shop. And then they opened up a couple other ones in town
Yeah,
to get that water going again.
I guess it is, it would be a lot. Just think 2 miles seems a lot on paper. But yeah, probably is.
And next fairs and festivals, I don't, fairs or festivals. Old business, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding the city hall rental. Anybody got more thoughts on that? I mean, I think the no alcohol probably fixes the here and now problem, but down the road, we can always revisit it if we like.
Well, I think there was also a liability, policy
Yeah, we
in order to
information on
conduct something covering the city.
that. Are we still waiting on that,
Right.
The Mike Keith?
No, he suggests that, one, if we're gonna rent City Hall, that they should have, liability insurance of $2 million.
Liability insurance.
And then if we do allow serving alcohol, then we should require them to have a liquor liability insurance. And the only thing with that is, it is meant for catering events. So nobody, she said, nobody that curious that they deal with would give you one for a BYOB event where you bring your own alcohol in. Because the whole point of the catering one is they are trained professionals. They know when to cut people off. And it's a low risk there because in theory they're supposed to cut them off and then don't have to worry about the insurance part of it. But if you allow BYOB, there's nobody to control and stop them. So she said that they would not, that no insurance company would allow you to do a BYOB. It's gonna be a catered event, so it's gonna be held responsible to make sure people are not overserved.
And the staff is aware that if anybody wants to use the place, that
Now they are.
to like Ms. Van Dyke's point, if she wanted to use it, they're clear, they make it clear, no alcohol.
Yeah.
So that should
Yeah, now.
control some of the demand.
And that was a big discussion, so, you know, I don't know how you guys want, I mean, you know, we're gonna see all out, you know,
And I'll say, I don't think that it's gonna be a big problem if we enforce the alcohol issue. I think it's gonna take the demand down quite a bit, even for wedding receptions and such, that it's probably, the time and energy you're spending on it is not necessarily gonna have a payoff for it.
so you just wanna leave it as it is, and there's no alcohol.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you, did you want to talk about the fees or no?
About what?
The fees.
Oh, I mean, again, I don't know that it's gonna be, to Ms. Van Dyke's point, you know, if, you know, the harbor board member or any of these committee members wanna use it, it's no charge, I mean, it's,
It is a charge.
well.
Right now, with the way it reads, it is a charge. They just
Right.
have to get one of us to essentially sponsor it, is all they have to do.
Right.
But yeah, but that's the way it already currently reads.
Okay, I thought that
We're
was-
just not changing anything.
Okay, so we just need
But,
that.
but did somebody sponsor that event?
Well, from now on, that's what it's.
Yeah, okay.
That wasn't the
From now
case.
on.
It was
Okay.
before.
Well, see, I thought that's the way we had it set up.
It was
But
back in 2020.
it was supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
But could you just next, well, I guess for whomever the person is, if they could just, again, in the next packet, just put in what the current ordinance is. just-
But there's no, it's not done by ordinance, it's
Well,
just done as a
it's
policy,
current
yeah, it's
policy.
just, yeah, it's just a policy. But now, like I said, they come in, they fill out an application, and we can change the form, I know Alderman Jones was saying that we should have on there what the event is, so we know what's going on, instead, right now, it's just open, you say, I want it, that's it. You know, we can change the forms however you guys want
Yeah,
to.
because we have restrictions on some of the things that you can do, if I'm not mistaken, with the policy. That you can and can't do.
Are we adding that liability to it then too?
Well, that's, we can do that, that's what I'm saying, that's what the discussion's supposed to be, you guys want to add the liability, no liquor, you know. Like I said, our insurance suggests.
But, I mean,
$2
no
million.
liquor is actually just clarifying
Yeah.
the ordinance that currently you're not gonna
Yeah.
have alcohol on public.
But, you know, we can change the form if you guys wanted to make it add the insurance, and they have to have proof of insurance, you know, to at least
I
$2
mean, I
million.
don't really care if they have insurance or not, I don't think it's a good idea to have the alcohol.
Well, no, I'm talking about just the insurance portion of it, to be not city hall.
Yeah, if they come in here and decide to put a chair through a window, you know.
Yeah, we talked two different things, like I said, the insurance company said that no matter what, whoever wins city hall should have a $2 million insurance policy.
Okay.
And then,
And name us as a co-beneficiary.
yeah, and then the second part of that, if we allow alcohol, then they would have to have an additional alcohol provided policy. you know.
Which she does not recommend.
Yeah, that's right, you know.
Well, I mean, the lawyer said flat out, even if we had of the insurance or whatever to go with that, it still doesn't absolve the city of responsibility, so.
Right. So, yes, I think we're probably back where we were 6 months ago.
So you just want to change the form to add the insurance and call it good, or?
I think we're just not doing anything,
Yeah, I mean,
unless somebody makes a motion.
Well, are we gonna add the event to the form though? What the event is?
I'll get with Joe.
Okay.
We'll bring some kind of form to the next meeting to be reviewed.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda, so that we can add executive session, talk about personnel matters. We can make it number 1 in the new business, we good?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So, if you want
doing here. But no, I think we can go into executive session anytime we want. We just can't vote on anything we can't vote on anything in there without it being
And
posted.
there's not an anticipation.
Okay, yes. No, I think that if we got an argument right now, we could vote to go into executive session and talk about something and then come back. You don't have to post that. But we should read why we're going into executive session, I assume. Personnel matter.
I know that sometimes the language is like pursuant to Missouri
Yeah.
CSR, fill in the blank.
Yep.
We're just going to executive session. to
I have it
discuss
stapled to my
personnel
wall,
matters.
is what I do. Stapled behind your desk would be, just read it. Do you want, are you looking it up?
I'm trying Missouri executive session.
I can go to my office and get it in the office.
You haven't had one in a long time.
Yeah, I know.
Section 610.021 RSMO. It's like pursuant to Missouri section 610.021. We will adjourn to executive session.
Is that personnel matters? Is that what it is?
Yeah, for personnel.
Do we need to vote for?
No, we already
That's what
voted.
you voted on.
He just read
Getting it on the record that
Legal
needs to discuss it. All right, item number 2, resolution 2601, a resolution to implement the Missouri Blue Shield program to recognize communities dedicated to effective law enforcement and community safety. That's, you see it in there. Chief, you want to explain that?
Oh, the resolution?
Yeah.
Sorry, we were talking. That is, I'm applying for a Blue Shield grant through the state of Missouri. And the first requirement is that we get a resolution approved by you as a board, basically stating that you support law enforcement and the prosecution of violent crimes. You have to have that before you can apply for this grant. So that being the first phase, that's what we needed, the approval for you for that.
Where it teases up for about 50,000.
It's 50,000 for equipment and training.
But that's at a later date. All we're
Yeah.
doing is the motion approval.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Discussion and consideration and possible action regarding earthworks final payment. See that in there, Joe, you wanna?
Yeah, the project is done. The engineers approved the final payroll. That's what you see here. So it's gonna be, let's see, 48,000. That's it.
Circle.
$44,468.56. That's the final approval. Like I said, he signed off on it. All the liens, according to him, all the liens have been paid. You know, the liens. It's a to-go project. If you notice, I added, just for information, the third page of it, it's got a breakdown of the left on the loan. So earthworks, you see, that's the final payment there. CWG is the company that provided the plans for us. As part of the original contract, it came in 5 different phases. The first 2 phases were the construction phases of it, which provided the plans, and all that. The last 2 phases are kind of like a warranty period, where they, first year warranty, they come in, check on the plans, fix it, whatever needs to be done, and then same thing with the third year. That's totals $27,000, so that's the most we're gonna hold in after the next 2 years. And then the last one is about on the rest. I talked to Jim Ross yesterday, and he said as far as he's concerned, we're done with him. And so that 54,000 is actually a savings. That was the original that was the original estimate for the contract, but we didn't use that much money. And we have bought some stuff, we had you some of this, I had last updated this, and what I have for you guys at the next meeting, I have it ready for the new person is, I'll give you a complete, this is the final number. So we're looking, I know it's a wide range, but we're looking at having a surplus of $8,000, or it could be a surplus of $63,000. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'll get the final number. What I'm saying, I'll get the final number for Barton West, what we actually spent on that project.
But do we still owe CWG?
Yeah, we still
25,000?
27,000.
is this the next thing, not the whole thing? Were we gonna pay them 90?
No, yeah, no, it's not that, no. If you look out here, phase 3, which says upon completion, first year of growth, that's 18,000. And then the next phase underneath that, under completion of the 2-year warranty and service, that's a 9,000. So that's a 27,000. Everything else is ready to pay.
But we've only, so they're just not on here?
No,
So we've only paid 45 on here to CWG.
No, it's all the numbers up above.
But up above it adds to 90.
Yeah, it comes up to 90. But we only owe 27,000.
I'm sorry, where? That only has up to 45. 27 and 18.
See, but we already paid for these first, we paid for the first phase, which is startup construction.
Oh, which is not included in
Yeah.
your read bed loan?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. We use cash to pay that.
That's part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we just need a motion to approve the earthworks.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now, next is discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding the concession stand agreement with MJ Barbecue to run the concession stand at the park.
Which one number is here for?
I can answer
Yeah,
it.
let's see, it's happy with that.
Raquel, asked me if anybody has any questions, I can answer them.
One thing I'd like to point out, there's a typo in the agreement. It says 315 South Central, that should be 315 South Hudson City Hall, because it's we the city.
Yeah.
And I will make one more statement, all of these agreements, the next two, that's gonna emphasize this one also, has been reviewed by our attorneys, and they say it's good. But-
All this does is just let the guy use the concession stand. We're not using the
As
concession
long as we
stand.
don't have a motion, it dies, isn't that true?
Yes. Where's this place on right now?
The guy lives in Great Valley.
Why does he want it from April to?
That's when we have softball and baseball down there.
But according to that, he's the sole operator of it from there to there, except for when the city wants to use it.
Yeah, it's him and his brother. We haven't used it in 2 or 3 years ourselves, other than the 4th of July, or the fireworks in the park.
The festival used it year before last?
Yeah. Sure did. Also,
They were selling food out there, all festival.
Yeah, for the fall, that's why I said other than the fireworks festival.
No, not fireworks, fall festival.
Festival in the valley.
Yeah,
They use the concession stand down at the park?
yeah, it was a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Not that I know of. I mean, I'm not saying they didn't, but it's not anything the park board ever approved or did.
I
don't recall.
But again, that would be the city using it.
Yeah,
Also-
so the city.
Yeah.
also don't see any fees as far as you charging him.
We're not charging it. Again, I don't think it's gonna work. I don't think, he thinks he can make some money down there and I don't think he can. But I'm all for him trying if he wants to try.
So he just wants to hang out during ball games.
Yeah, during, well, practices.
That practice.
Yeah. He thinks, again, we used to make a little bit money back when Ed Burns ran the thing, but it takes a lot of
Same thing,
effort.
If that's what they want to do, provide food and beverage to participants or their people in the stands.
Yep, that's
Don't
what,
have to go this direction.
well, and then he thinks he can even I don't know. He just thinks he can do it. I don't think it, my personal opinion is it's not gonna mean anything, but I have no problem with him trying. It's just gonna die off a month later when he doesn't.
I think I'd feel better if there's at least some rental fee or something, not just your free things.
Or you started out with a 30-day deal and
Yeah.
proof of concept, and then
Yeah.
if it doesn't work, and like you say, it dies out in 30 days, and then somebody else wants to try it, they get a crack at it versus having a whole summer been tied up and not.
Yeah, but I mean, nobody's done it for 10 years. We've not had anybody approach us of doing it. I don't think they're coming out of the woodwork to do it. But again, that's all this guy wanted. He thinks our town can do better by having concessions down there and people here having a place to go every night. You know, when their kids are down there practicing, they can run over there and get a hamburger or whatever.
That's what food trucks are for.
Yeah, I don't see food trucks down at the park. And again, I don't think there's enough demand, but
I don't.
it is, he thinks so. And that's all this is. I'll make the motion to approve. If it dies, it dies.
Hearing no second, it dies for lack of a second. Discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding an agreement for a band at fireworks in the park event. You can see that in here, the band agreement. They had $1,100 paid on the day of the event. And they have their insurance and stuff. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That music. A discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding an agreement for mowing at Heisler Burns Park for 2026.
Just, Ash is our worker down there that the park board's been paying to do miscellaneous jobs. And he thinks he wanted to mow the park, and we're like, well, I don't think we want to pay that much. And he said he could do it for this much, and we said, all right, let's see it. So that's why the park board motion to approve this, or maybe
Makes sense.
a vote to approve it.
So he's gonna use the city's mowers, he's gonna pay for his own fuel, and he will maintenance the mowers.
He maintains the mowers on park cost.
On his hourly.
Yeah, we pay him, that's not.
This is his contract bid.
He's supposed to keep that separate,
Okay.
and that's
Who
part
has
of
the
the
maintenance schedule on that?
Well, Ash does, and Ash is very meticulous about everything.
Good.
I personally think the city should also be hiring Ash to do some of their stuff, but Ash is very meticulous, to a fault, is almost very meticulous.
Good to know.
And this is mowing only, no weed eating?
Correct,
Just sitting out.
correct, it's just mowing. Mowing of the park, with priority to the ball fields.
So who will do the weed eating?
Well, it's still just essentially the same as it's always been, volunteers or city if they ever have time. As of right now, it's not softball. We've had agreements with softball before, that they would mow and we'd eat the fields.
Yeah.
That's part of their rental agreement, but we don't know if softball's happening yet this year. So, at this time, it's back to volunteers or spraying it. Or Ash on his hourly wage, if Raquel so chooses.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
Thank you. Elected officials' comments. One thing I'm joking, clarify, but we did meet with the FTC last Friday about the pump issue down at the wastewater plant. And they're working on getting us some pricing. As you recall, the tunnel filled where does it terminate at?
Inside the City Works building. It's a main lift station that comes in from the town. And the pit he's talking about is actually a dry pit. We got 2 pumps down there that's been clogging up and failing on us. And the pit is 30 feet deep in the ground. And what happened was, like I said, we had 2 boats on it, and we hired them to come and work on the motors. Well, their practice and their protocol is you always leave 2 bolts in for that reason. You pull the bolts up, pump up, you leave 2 bolts in, and if any water starts coming out, all you gotta do is sit it right back down, tighten the bolts down, and figure out why the water's coming in. They had a new employee down there. He took the bolts completely out, so when he lifted the pump up, it filled up the dry pit. And so what we're talking about is the 2 bolts that he's talking about now are submersible motors that actually go down into the live well, and then we got a temporary bypass that's run up and feed into the headworks building. And so instead of being a dry pit area, it's gonna be a live well, and then we're just gonna have a control box with the pipes going through it, so nobody will have to go down that pit ever again. And it's kind of funny because our sewer guy, Riley, who's going to wastewater training right now, is going to classes at Lee Summit at MDNR. And there's only 3 wastewater treatment plants in the whole state of Missouri that's got the same system we do, and we one of the 3. It's very dangerous, there's no airflow, you know, like I said, it's basically a cave, 30 feet down with the control panels on that.
So there's no way to pull the pumps without getting down there.
Yeah, exactly.
Up to the pumps.
And the new system we have to worry about, because they'd be actually in a live well, they would have gates and, you know, bells, and you just raise them up, and fix them.
They're not hooked to anything,
Yeah.
they're just hooked to the pipe that goes down.
Yep.
Just like our Echo Ridge is
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Station,
Yeah, yeah.
But it seemed like his all-in was what, 300,000 or something like that?
Well, his when he did that, he has mental guilt that it was his fault, his company's fault. What I told him to do is we need to know numbers of what it was gonna cost to repair the existing one that they messed up, basically. And then to give us the option of the upgrade, which is the nice system that we're talking about. Well, he came back with a number of 300,000 for the upgrade, but he won't give us a number on what it was cost to fix it. So that's where we're getting this
Also,
communication going to.
yeah, did you get another estimate?
Well, we got, yeah, Bob got kind of came out yesterday. They're gonna give us an estimate.
Okay.
And, we kind of thrown out theories that, you know, they take care of the live well portion, and we take care of the new pit area, just us, the new pit area, and then they have to connect to the new pit area. Because I asked the guy, point blank, the owner, that 300,000, I said, how much was that? Was build that new pit area? He goes, well, that's a lot of it, because he says, I don't do that, so I'm gonna have to hire a contractor to come in, the contractor's gonna have to do all the piping, all the pit, you know, build the pit up. So I said, well, if we hire our own contractor, which I was thinking about the guy that did the maintenance system, earthworks, we cut the middleman out, basically. He said, well, that would drop costs dramatically, just by doing that.
Why can't we use the old pit as and just put submersibles in there like essentially is right now? Why
The
does it
live
need to
well or
be
the dry well?
The dry well.
Because they're 2 separate systems, they're talking about concrete wall.
It has to stay dry.
Yeah, it has to stay dry.
And why did we have flow? Why was there flow and they didn't think there'd be flow?
Because, that's.
Didn't he twist off a valve?
Yeah.
So there is something broke also.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's the point. So
The valve didn't
so,
work.
and that's the point that TC was saying. Because I don't mind going down there again. I don't like it, but if we have to get you guys screw up, we will. But you guys, us, the city, we have to be responsible to hire somebody to come in, and they basically have to go in there and cut everything out, all the old valves, and put all new valves in so they can safely shut it down, and then send the guys down into it.
So the valve didn't work.
Yeah.
And then they either tried to tighten it down and busted.
So, and his whole point was he don't think there's another company that will even go down there to be able to take out those valves, and if it is, it's gonna be so cost prohibitive that why spend money on that when we can spend money to get the upgrades.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at right
But it sounded
now.
like, as I understood it, that we were gonna be on the hook for that $50,000 pump,
Yeah.
one way or the other.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of what they were gonna do with it, whether
He bought that pump just for us to keep us in line, and he has not charged us for that pump at all.
The pump, the temporary.
Yeah, it's a hookup.
And there's only one pump down in there normally?
Right, no, well, down the driveway, we got two.
Two, okay.
It's like every other does, you know. Right now, we got one submersible pump that's in the live well. And to be honest, like May was talking to me, Bob, that thing has, this happened back in August 28th. And we've been on that bypass, temporary bypass since August 28th. And we had a good harsh cold winter this go around. Never, in fact, you could actually bother the window, but before it was over, you can really see it. So that one pump is doing a tremendous job. And like I said, me and Bob, thanks. We got a while that, I mean, we went to all winter.
And it's not plugging up?
Nope.
Like the old two?
No, it's plugged up for us. It runs like a champ. Even in the winter time, it not froze up. Because they put a check valve in there. That once the pump quits, it opens up, drains that line, so that line, because that line's literally laying on top.
And again, I would assume this is something that's gotta get engineering approval from MDRR? Because it's
No.
an upgrade to the plant? No?
Well, yeah, I'm sure we have to change, you know, once we get going on it. But that's just not just trying to think, look at it. I mean, you know, the cost.
I assume, yeah, some engineer's gotta stamp it.
Yeah,
It's
they're
good.
always gonna stamp it, send it in, and they'll get the stamp on it.
Is that electric pump?
Yeah,
No, the one that they,
well, all of them electric. The two-
no, I mean, the one that the temporary, is that,
It's electric.
It's electric.
But it's not a big lead going down to the
okay,
bottom.
okay.
It actually sits in the bit well.
So I just wanted to bring you up to speed, we hadn't talked about this in a while, so it was, let you know when Joe was here to, a little more coherently describe the situation.
Well, that's what I was like. Nobody asked questions here in a week.
Any other,
I do have one.
yes, sir.
The water issue that the city had for the last 2 weeks, the 3 times, that shouldn't affect the city. It should not be a problem. The city needs to have some kind of either SCADA or telemetry control on the tower that says, hey, your tower's running empty, do something. Right now, they don't know until the city runs out of water that there's a problem. What happened, these issues shouldn't cause, you and I should never know what even happens. If they get an alert that, hey, go check. They don't get an alert that says go check. They need some, and it's not, I mean, yes, a full-blown SCADA system would cost some money, but there are companies that essentially just put a transducer and a cell phone on your tower that says, hey, when your tower gets to X feet, call this guy's phone number. And it's just something the city needs to do.
Would that, I mean, I'm not saying we don't need it, but that wouldn't have helped us on when the Independence shut off, would it have?
Yeah.
Independence never shut. You mean that?
No, it was an Independence.
No,
I thought it was before Independence. That's what you
No,
told me.
that's that shut off valve, the pressure reducer valve, but bad, but that's on us, that's, you know.
Oh, well, see,
A valve didn't open to give water to the tower.
Yeah, what happened was that valve was stuck shut, so it wasn't allowing water to go to the tower.
Yeah, it was all Buckner's issue.
Now, I will say something, just, I mean, I agree, all the leads, I mean, definitely, and we do have it built into that SRF funding that we applied for. And we on the list, it's supposed to be next, but anyway, other than that, since this has happened, Dalton and whoever's on call on the weekend, they check the towers in the morning, they check the towers in the evening, and they write it down, they got a sheet down, they write it down what the pressure was. And like I said, on the weekends, they'll check the tower, and know that they're checking the Independence pit, they see the pressure coming in, how many gallons per minute we pumping, we're supposed to be around 300, that maintains the system, so now we're getting a daily routine of checking it at least twice a day, and even on the weekends.
Then paying somebody to do it on the weekend.
Yeah, well, they come in and get 2 hours to do the plant check at the treatment plant, so that's just part of the 2 hour.
Oh, they're already getting,
Yeah.
somebody's already getting paid.
You know, every weekend, somebody comes in, does the plant walk through the wastewater, and now we have to the water side too, so. We have changed operation mode now. Granted, it's after the fact, but it is now being taken care of properly.
There's nothing else, I take a motion to adjourn.
I got one something, I just want to thank Joe for his service.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
I said,
Stepped in when we was having a lot of headaches.
These pictures.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.